Good morning. Welcome to the Florence Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Sally Wantz. As we begin our service, I wish to acknowledge that we stand here today on the native, traditional land of the first people of Florence, the Sayusla Indians. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the members of the Sayusla tribe, past, current, and future. I invite two of you to come forward as we start our service with singing Spirit of Life.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Very nice, Tuvia. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So for those here today, oh, I forgot my cell phone at home. I guess it's not going to go off while I'm here. If you have a cell phone or device, please turn it off now. So just so you know, we are recording today. It's Friday, September 10th. And I'm joined today with Catherine Hemmons, Ruth Miller, and Tuvia Shai. We are here, and we are so glad to be with you today. And going to deliver a fabulous service that will be available for you Sunday morning at 3 a.m., Sunday the 12th. Speaking of September 12th, back by popular demand, is our dialogue circle. You may recall we used to sit up front here with chairs and we'd talk for a long time about the day's message. Well, we're going to start doing that again. This Sunday we hope to have Ruth Miller with us. If not, we'll just do it ourselves and we'll talk about this topic of embracing possibility. So a link to the Zoom event is in the blast you received this morning, and we look forward to having you join us. So please be with us. Wishing our friends of the Jewish faith many blessings for the many High Holy Day celebrations this month. We recognize that 20 years ago, our world was shaken and crumbled by the horrific events of 9/11. Our prayers continue to go out to the families and friends who may continue to suffer the after effects of that day and the weeks, months, and years following. We send healing energy to you. September 19th, Donna Smith will be with us and bring a special message to us for our Sunday service on the 19th and continue with her class of Raising Consciousness, which will be 11:15 on the 19th. So you should have some information in the newsletter about that as well. Does anybody here have any other announcements? Then I invite Catherine to come forward. We're going to light our chalice, and the words come from our Soul Matters Worship Resources program. This is for September. This was written by Reverend Gretchen Haley, titled Space for New Possibility. What's going to happen?
Will everything be okay?
What can I do?
In these days, we find ourselves too often stuck with these questions on repeat.
What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do?
We grasp at signs and markers, articles of news and analysis,
Facebook memes and forwarded emails, as if the new zodiac, capable of forecasting all that life may yet bring our way.
as if we could prepare.
As if life had ever made any promises of making sense or turning out the way we thought.
As if we are not also actors in this still unfolding story.
For this hour, we gather to surrender to the mystery, to release ourselves from needing to know, the yearning to have it all already figured out, and also the burden of believing we either have all the control or none.
Here in our song and our silence, our stories and our sharing, we make space for a new breath, a new healing, a new possibility to take root.
You can take Ruth too.
Yes. I was looking at Ruth, so.
That is courage forged in the fire of our coming together and felt in the spirit that comes alive in this act of faith, that we believe still a new world is possible.
That we are creating it already, here and now.
As we light our chalice, come, let us worship together. I invite two of you to come forward. He's got a Hebrew song that he would like to sing describing the hope for peace and prosperity in the coming year. Two of you?
The earth is cooling down and giving us the harvest, a time to enjoy. For some of us, this marks the beginning of a new year. So the song Bashana Haba'ah, which means next year, is a good time to take stock of the world around us in facing a worldwide pandemic, environmental crisis, housing shortages, and social justice issues. We can only hope that the year ahead will be better. This Israeli song was written in 1970 with music by Nurit Hirsch and lyrics by Ehud Manor, and it's always relevant. Bashana Haba'ah. Bashana Haba'ah Neishel Amirbeset V'nizkor Tziporim Nodanu Yeladim B'chufsha Yisachaku Tovesem Ben Habayit Ubeit Hasadon Otirei Kamadoni Bashana Haba'ah Otirei Kamadoni Bashana Haba'ah. Soon the day will arrive when we will be together, and oh love, shall we all live in peace. And the children will smile in the sunshiny weather. On this day the dark clouds will disappear. Wait and see what a world this will be if we share and we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world this will be if we share and we care, you and me. You will see just how good a life can be in the year that will come, that will come.
Thank you, Tuvia. That was great. Very inspiring. Oh, excuse me. Forgot my glasses. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It is good to be back. And first of all, I want to thank Ashley for covering me. She did that. She's new in the congregation. She kind of just said yes because she wanted to. And I'm sure she did really terrific. So here we are again, joys and concerns. The part of our service where we pause and remember our connection with each other. To be present, even though we are not gathering, to be present in our willingness to see the deepest part of each other and reflect that recognition of that depth. We can do this in an action of reaching out, picking up the phone, or we can sit in contemplation of our collective soul perfection, intending that all good things come to each other. I have spoken with some of you since I've returned, and some have an acute sense of loss about the church shutting down again, the fear that it will never open again, the loss of the physical contact. Oh, we miss those hugs and seeing each other face to face. But I promise you, we will open again. We will hold each other in recognition personally, not just in contemplation. We live in this time-space continuum, as I call it. It is important to hug, to touch, to see that spark of the life force in each other's eyes, and we will again. Does anyone have any joys and concerns? Let's just put up several.
I'm going to just have a joy that you're back and that you've celebrated your what birthday?
Well, not quite yet. It's the whole month. 70th.
When did you have that 70th birthday?
It's coming up.
It's coming up.
It's coming. Oh, you haven't even had the birthday and you've already been celebrating.
Oh my.
This is for Catherine, knowing how to celebrate the 70th birthday in style. That's my joy.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And so it is.
All these other shells for
Just for
all
all
those
of
other
us.
people, for all the people. And believe me, there will come a time when you walk through that door and we are there to greet you with a hug.
Yeah.
You will be hugged. Okay? So stay tuned. I
You will be
promise.
embraced.
You will be embraced. So we welcome Ruth Miller to come forward. Thank you.
Count on it. She remembered. Cool. I get to be tall. All right. Well, such a delight to be here and be with you all, even in just electronic form. It is always a pleasure to feel your presence. And I know your bodies are not here, but I can feel your spirit here. And as we're sharing this electronic space, it gets richer and richer. As you have heard, we are in the middle of the Jewish High Holy Days. The new moon closest to the autumnal equinox is Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year. We have entered 5782, which has all kinds of interesting mystical meanings I won't get into. But one of the readings in our hymnal that addresses that is called On Turning. It's number 634 if you happen to have a copy. Now is the time for turning. The leaves are beginning to turn from green to red and orange. The birds are beginning to turn and are heading once more toward the south. The animals are beginning to turn to storing their food for the winter. For leaves, birds, and animals, turning comes instinctively. But for us, turning does not come so easily. It takes an act of will for us to make a turn. It means breaking with old habits. It means admitting that we have been wrong, and this is never easy. Sometimes it means losing face. It means starting all over again, and this can really be painful. It means saying, I'm sorry. It means recognizing that we have the ability to change. And these things can be hard to do. But unless we turn, we will be trapped forever in yesterday's ways. God help us to turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, and from fear to faith. Turn us around, O God, and lead us back toward you, toward the love and the light that you are. Revive our lives as at the beginning, and turn us toward each other. For in relation, there is life. In isolation, there is no life. And that's by Jack Reamer, number 634. Well, I mentioned that we're moving into the year 5782. In the Hebrew calendar, that means it's been 5,782 years since in the beginning, since Bereshit. And I was appreciating the Bashanah is also starting with that Bet letter, the second letter in the Hebrew alphabet, which the Greeks adopted and turned into alphabet. That second letter is the beginning, is the beginning. It is the unfolding. And in the Hebrew alphabet, which works from the other direction, we're used to reading from left to right, they read from right to left. It's like the bet is this big opening, a cave out of which everything emerges. And in the presentation of this year, it starts with that same bet. So, we're going to be looking at all kinds of new things coming forward out of this year. If we think about the world that is or was at the time that the Hebrews were establishing this calendar, this time of year, the autumnal equinox, is, as it is in Oregon, the ending of the drought and the beginning of the fresh, cool rains.
Yes.
This is when the fall planting begins. And I am embracing the possibility of maybe having pea pods this year. And I brought an extra one in case anyone in the group would like to embrace that same possibility. During this next growing season, we'll be growing those shade and cool plants. It won't be tomatoes and peppers. It'll be cabbages and kale and pea pods, if we're lucky, and lettuces, and those wonderful things that don't mind the fact that they're only going to get a few hours of sun some days every week. They are embracing the possibility of growth and becoming their fulfillment. Every seed has it not only within it a plant, it has all the plants that will be born from those plants. Every acorn is not just an oak, it is a forest. And that is what happens when we embrace the possibility within us. Yes. We are all seeds, each of us. And those seeds can be biological. Many of us have multiple descendants. We have children and or grandchildren and great-grandchildren and maybe more. Some folks around here are going to live to see their great-great-grandchildren, and that's pretty amazing. But we are more than biological seeds. We are social seeds. We are psychological seeds. We are seeds of possibility for the world. And if we allow ourselves to become that which we truly could be, then the world can become that which it truly could be. Each and every one of us. That song was so good. Thank you, Tuvia, because it was so clear that what is happening now is not what has to define what is going to be happening. What defines the future is what choices we make now. Where are we going to put our focus now? What are we going to embrace in our potential and our possibilities and our capabilities that we have not embraced in the past? Yeah? So the soul matters for this month is embracing possibilities. And there's 2 packets. One is for the services, and that's where we got that great chalice lighting. And one is for the small group to meet, and it gives us exercises to do. And we will be meeting on the last Thursday of this month, on the 30th at 7 by Zoom. So contact me at soulmatters.foof@gmail.com. That'd be great. But in this packet, I found some great things I thought I would share. And one of them is that you are not too old and it is not too late.
Thank you.
You know, we live in a culture that honors 30 and below and doesn't think 40 and above is alive anymore. And yet 40 and above is when we've entered into our power, and somewhere around 60 we start entering into our wisdom. And yeah, the crone years, the years of the waning moon, okay, the waxing moon is what we honor. We have not honored the waning moon as it's approaching the new moon. But that is the years in almost every culture. The grandparents are doing 2 things. One, they're being there as the backup for the children to get a different message from their parents' upsets.
Nicely put.
And to extend the traditions of the past and show possibilities for the future. The other thing that the grandparents do, the crone years do in traditional cultures, is they pay attention to what the decision-making processes are that they may or may not be participating directly in. But if they realize it's going too far out of balance with the world around us, they can feel that. And they go to those making those decisions and they say, you know, in order for us to thrive, we need to be living in balance and harmony with the world around us. And this is not moving in that direction. We need to make a change here. And because in traditional cultures, the elders, those in our crone years, are recognized, when that is said, action is taken. It's not said lightly or often. It's only said when it must be said for the well-being of the people unto the 7th generation. It happens that our legislature is modeled on that. Unfortunately, we lost that capability in our legislatures in this world. So there is a fine line here. We want to honor the traditions of the past, and we want to recognize the extent to which they have served us, but we don't want to be hooked to the past. Right? We don't want to, as the reading today said, be trapped in yesterday's ways. We want to recognize that the one constant in living systems, in all living beings, which includes our beautiful planet, is change. It is changing. It must change. It is the nature of life to change. It cannot be the same for very long. This really came home to me when I was starting out in my very first house, in my very first garden. I had helped many of my relatives with their gardens over the years, but it was a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there. And I got into this house and it was beautiful. There were all kinds of things already in place, but it had begun to be pretty overgrown. I spent weeks just pulling out ivy roots and morning glory roots. And when I was done, I was so glad. Oh, good, I fixed the garden. It's going to be fine.
Oh.
Until about 6 weeks later. Went, oops, this is not a one-time thing. Change is what happens in living systems. Change is part of gardening. Change is the nature of being. So we cannot afford, individually or collectively, to be trapped in yesterday's ways. We must find what the possibilities are in the emerging present for a future that allows everyone to thrive, that allows all those things that we delight in when we think about the past to move forward and be supported and sustained, but not to be trapped in how we did that. So it's about the what, not the how. So the what of the past, if you're thinking about the 50s or the 60s and the glory years of your life, or this culture, or the planet, the what was connection. The what was openness to emerging wonderfulness everywhere we looked. The what was that people felt safe. The what, we can go on and on, these wonderful whats that were present in our lives in those golden years. Guess what? We're in our golden years. Most of us are approaching them rapidly. And we need to hold on to those whats, but the hows are very different. And will continue to be very different. In one of the teachers that I work with in my personal transcendentalist New Thought tradition, ours is to know the what. The universe, God, the one mind, takes care of the how. I know what the qualities are of what could happen. I can taste pea pods. But I don't know how that plant's going to grow. I know I'm going to give it the what that I know it needs. Good soil, good water, good light. Don't let it freeze. But I don't have the wherewithal. I don't have the capacity to even know how those leaves grow or what this plant is going to look like 5 months or 5 weeks down the road. And the same with the body, and the same with the culture, and the same with every aspect of life. We have absolute clarity about what gives us joy, about what opens our hearts and our minds, but we have no idea how to get there. So you know what? The way to embrace the possibilities is to ignore the hows. Not my job. My job is the what. If we think about some of the other wonderful things that are in this packet, one of the things is, we have from Tom Bennett, the beauty of imperfection is the possibility for improvement. Right? When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves, said Viktor Frankl. And I love what Henry Ford says. I am looking for people who have an infinite capacity to not know what can't be done. I don't need to know the how. I need to know the what. And to know that it can happen at some level in some way, and the how will become clear as I move, as I open myself, as I feel the what happening in me. Oh, those pea pods taste great. Yes. Then I will feel each step of the way. I have a friend who I've helped him move a couple of times, and some of you have helped me move a couple of times. And when we ask, well, where do you want this? The response is, I don't know yet. I'll have to discover that one step at a time. And that's what life is. I may not be able to tell you what the next step is, but I'll do this one now. And really, how could it be otherwise? I'm embracing the possibilities, that what gives me joy and bliss, the imaginings of my future generations all thriving on this beautiful planet. And I may not know what the 5th step is, but I do know what this step is, here and now. How could it be otherwise? So let us go forth, one small step at a time, and allow the how to happen as we embrace the what's that gives us joy, that give us joy and delight and peace and harmony. And as I move forward and go on with my next step, I wish you all the best, all the joy of the emerging possibilities of this moment. Thank you very much.
So a new way to look at the what's in the hows.
Yeah.
At first I thought you were talking about house. Then I figured out you were talking about the hows.
Sorry.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. What a delightful way to think about the possibilities. I like that. I can only know what my next step is, or the thought of my next step. After that, I'll just have to wait and see how it happens. Thank you, Ruth. Really appreciate it. We have a very special guest with us today. She's the guiding force for the Florence Emergency Cold Weather Shelter Program in Florence, and it is our community partner for September and October. We asked Pat Burke to join us today to give you a sense of why we should and do care about what she and her organization is doing. She came to us earlier today. We pre-recorded her message. I'd like to share that with you at this time.
Good morning. My name is Pat Burke, and I am the president of Florence Emergency Cold Weather Shelter. We are a 501c3 group, totally staffed with volunteers, most of us seniors. The shelter was founded almost 10 years ago by a group of compassionate people concerned about the survival of homeless folk during our cold and wet winters. The first shelter was in the Masonic Lodge south of the bridge. It then moved to the Presbyterian Church on 101. There, when the weather turned bitter, the unhoused were welcomed and their possessions safely stored. After volunteers cooked and served dinner, our guests could socialize in the fellowship hall until lights out. Air mattresses and bedding were provided. In the morning, a hot breakfast was served with lots of coffee. The last time we used the Presbyterian Church was March 2020. Volunteers cooked and plated a St. Patrick's Day dinner that was delivered to our guests at a local motel. COVID had struck. In November 2020, Florence Emergency Cold Weather Shelter took delivery of 21 pallet huts loaned to Florence by Lane County. We were excited and relieved. We now had a way to continue under COVID protocols. First Step Florence has property on 101 North across from Sand Ranch. It was overgrown with brush and trees, but a parcel was loaned to us, and a dedicated group of volunteers cleared out, chopped, and leveled the site. A chain link fence encloses the compound, and the pallets were delivered, complete with 2 bunks each, and light, heat, and privacy. Since there was no power and the cost of running electric to each of the 21 units was prohibitive, we purchased generators and were finally ready for our first guests in January of this year. Traditionally, we flew Florence Emergency Cold Weather Shelter flags around town at a number of pickup spots to announce that shelter was available. Now, we could no longer provide transportation under COVID restrictions, and we learned that our remote location up a dark and muddy road was not welcoming. People who wanted shelter had to walk on 101, no sidewalks, in the dark, and far from town. And that is where we are now, looking for property closer to Florence where power is available. Nevertheless, we have learned from last winter, and we will continue to welcome anyone who needs shelter during cold, wet weather. We are always eager to have more help. Our volunteer crew cooks and serves dinner and breakfast, staffs and supervises the compound when it's open, and does the laundry. And that brings me to Florence Emergency Cold Weather Shelter is immensely grateful for FUF's support. Anyone who wants more information or has questions is welcome to contact me. Sally Wantz has my email and my phone. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. We really appreciate your being with us this morning to share with us this wonderful organization, the Florence Emergency Cold Weather Shelter. So giving to this organization is easy, as well as giving to the fellowship is easy. You can donate via our website's PayPal feature. You can make a one-time donation or set up an automatic monthly donation. Leave a message in that PayPal feature as to how much you would like for the shelter and how much you would like for FUF. Simple, right? Easy. Or you can mail a check payable to FUF and mail it to P.O. Box 2502, Florence 97439, and we'll take care of the rest. Keeping our fellowship financially sound is a good thing, and helping Pat with her endeavors is also worthy of your consideration. As we move forward with our offering here at FUF and you at home, I ask that you repeat after me. Divine love through me,
Divine love through me,
blesses and multiplies all that I am,
blesses and multiplies all that I am,
all that I give,
all that I give,
and all that I receive.
and all that I receive.
I am prosperous now.
I am prosperous now.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
So Tuvi is here. He's got a check that it's kind of our big check. So hold that up and let's see if we can't just hold it right towards you. There you go. This is a check for the friends at the Food Backpacks for Kids. And for the previous 2 months, we have raised $1,498 for the Food Backpacks for Kids. Tuvio will be taking this over to Reverend Dale Edwards and giving that to him. And we thank all of you for your continued contributions to our community partners. Thank you. Thank you, Tuvio. Thank you. So I share with you, as we extinguish the chalice, I invite Catherine to come up and extinguish our flame. These words come from Gary Kowalski. Wherever you are today, whether you're here in this room right now or at home enjoying this message, go in peace. Speak the truth. Give thanks each day. Respect the earth and her creatures, for they are alive like you and like this little plant. Care for your body. It is a wondrous gift. Live simply. Be of service. Be guided by your faith and not your fear. Go lightly on your path. Walk in a sacred manner. Blessed be. Well, folks, we made it through another recording on a Friday morning. You're watching this, hopefully, over some coffee on Sunday morning. We hope you'll join us at 11:15 for the Zoom dialogue circle. We hope Ruth can join us. If she can't, well, we'll just talk about her. So be with us, and we look forward to it. I invite Tuvia to come back. We're going to sing our peace song and bid you well. Tuvia?
Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you. Thank you. Jay, it's a wrap.